Now there will be a review of my long expected toy, a new e-bike Denzel Boxon MID. First of all, I must apologize, there will be no actions here because there is no one around to ride the bike when I will film it, or no one film me when I will ride it. So this bike been produced by the Chinese small company ebike, which make its bike under the brand Denzel. It's a relatively small company, but not very small. They already made several hundreds of such bikes. The main part of this bike is frame, also named Boxon. It is made of a carbon fiber, not the thin one of which road bikes are made, but thicker and more solid one. It is claimed that frame weighs just 2.2 kilos and strong enough to endure any kind of usage. I will try to cover this bike component by component, starting maybe from the rear. So, the wheel. This wheel contained of motorbike rim, motor spokes, which are considerably thicker than the bike spokes, special hub made to order and also produced by the same company. It's not just a strong bike, strong hub for the strong bike, but also it have a modular construction. Both disc brake and freewheel are mounted on screw-on adapters, so you can replace each of them with another. Freewheel, for example, to make the pedals available. As you can see, this particular model have no functioning pedals. It can be powered only by the engine. So it's a universal thing, and also can be bought separately from the company website, ebike. What else do we have here? Tires. Tires are also made to order and branded with the same company name, Denzel Bike. Tires are quite heavy, so they are made to endure any harsh scenario of usage, but since they are not very aggressive, they are also suitable for paved roads and highways, for example, when such bikes are allowed. Then rear Mudguard, also branded as Denzel, and it have modular construction. This particular mudguard consists of 3 parts, and it is greatly made, cover all the tire and perfectly protect the biker from any kind of mud. Mounting is very strong and thick, so it also suitable for endurance usage. Brakes. There are hydraulic brakes. It's not an option. They are supplied by default, Taiwan made, and they use mineral oil as a liquid, braking liquid. It's some people consider it to be worse than a brake liquid, but still suitable for any kind of usage. Brakes are good enough, they are quite strong to endure the power of this bike, and equipped with a braking sensor which measure if you use brakes and cut off power from the engine. Well, what else I must tell you? That it is quite a powerful bike. Engine rated 4.5 kilowatts of peak power, so such bikes are forbidden in Europe, at least for non-licensed usage. But well, Now we're in Russia, so they're perfectly permitted. The only thing that to use them you need to have a M class driver license. I will tell you about how it's behave itself in action a bit later on. What else do we have here? Chain and rear gear. Rear gear is also custom made, supplied by the same company, EaseJam, and it is made to fit to this thicker chain. Such kind of chains being used in karting and smaller motorbikes. They are stronger than chain you can find in any kind of bicycle, but thinner than chains which are used in the most kinds of motorcycles. To my mind, it's a perfect balance between weight, thickness, and strongness. This gear is supplied by default, but when you order this bike, you also can order it with smaller or bigger gears, which will respectively supply you with a bigger torque or bigger maximum speed. My top speed on this bike is about 65 kilometers per hour, and the speed may be maintained even up hills on a harsher terrain. So it is very good, and maybe it's too fast for ordinary usage, so it's rather not a bicycle but bike. What else do we have here? Chain tightener. Earlier models of those bikes were supplied without such a thing, but it is very useful, so later on it started to be supplied by default. Another thing I must mention, that company constantly improve its bikes, and maybe if you order such a bike for yourself, it will be a bit different with certain improvements. For example, earlier models were also supplied with just two-segment rear mudguard, which wasn't effective enough. According to customer complaints, company replaced it, and now this mudguard is close to perfection to my taste. Okay. What else do we have here? The next part is engine itself. Engine very similar to engines more widely distributed around, supplied by the Chinese Cyclone company, but claimed to be much better. Better quality and better efficiency overall. This engine also claimed to be made by this company, EaseJam or Denzel, and as I said, can supply you with 4.5 kilowatts of peak power. This power is rated without any external cooling. If you will mount any kind of blower or liquid cooling system, you can get even more power from this engine, but as I said, it's already very torquey and more than you can expect. Well, next part are pedals. There are no real pedals on such kind of bike, so it's more like foot stands. They are foldable, which is also very convenient if you want to transport it in suburban train or car or anywhere else. This way it occupies much less space, and well, it's also quite convenient. Rear suspension. Both front and rear suspension are made by Taiwanese company D&M. Rear one is the cheapest one available with this bike, R22, and the front suspension is option improvement. By default this bike been supplied with a zoom fork, which is a bit worse, but still well, do its job. You can check overall options on EastGem website and read about this particular fork on DNM website. And another thing I must mention that this bike is considerably longer than usual bikes. Despite it having small wheels, it's longer for almost a half a meter comparing to the usual bikes, and it is great because of speed it makes. It behaves much more stable on the road. Well, next is a frame and its compartments. As you can see, below we have two compartments. Lower one with the switch, it's a power switch, which allow you limit the maximum power for non-experienced driver. This compartment contains several connectors and blocks of electronics such as DC-DC converter. Upper compartment contains controller made by Chinese company Kelly. It can be set up with PC connection. Cable also can be supplied by the bike manufacturer. Next part is battery compartment and battery itself. Battery compartment can be locked with a key, also supplied by the manufacturer. So it can be opened like that, and battery can be easily removed. Battery also, well, not made by the same company, but with collaborations with some other Chinese electronic goods supplier. I can't say any bad words about it. It consists out of 16 packets, and the most interesting thing in this battery is balancing charger integrated within. It also branded under the same brand, Denzel, and you can connect to this BMS to the battery via Bluetooth. Check the essential parameters. You cannot change anything here, but you can check health status of each cell, power, other characteristics, statistics, and so on, which is also quite convenient. Battery have two sockets. This one to charge it, and from another side you can see discharge socket. Yeah, it is waterproof, and there are different sockets for both charge and discharge sockets, which is quite convenient. Also on the top of the battery you can see LED to check the voltage. It's not very convenient to do with one hand, but I'll try to plug it in because I will need to at least turn this bike on. Okay. Well, seems like it's in place, but I'll check it later. As you may see, both sides of engine are protected with grills. Also a nice thing to have because it is torquey, and smaller gear revolving with a great speed, so if your trousers get in, it may be a real disaster. Earlier models also has no such thing as a grille, so it's also an improvement in a later model of bike. What else? Those clamps are for pannier. It also was supplied with this bike, bought separately from the same company. Strong and solid. I think it can endure a great weight, even another passenger. And rear light. Rear light, it's not just a static red light. It is coupled with a brake sensor, so it's highlighted with red when I press brakes. Also, it's equipped with the turn signals. So, as you can see on a handlebar, I can point the turns which I intend to make. Next thing is the seat. This frame exists in two options. The first option, this one, with a bicycle-like seat, and the second option with more motorcycle-like seat. I choose this one. It is supplied with an ordinary bicycle relative seat post. It was a full-length seat post, so I was forced to cut out it to the length I need to use during my rides. Seat itself not branded, very wide, suitable for any kind of rider, and even have a slight suspension. I hope it can be seen here. What's next? Kickstand. It's a great thing about this bike actually, because it is very solid, very convenient, spring-loaded. To my view, it's an ideal kickstand and a really convenient option, because bike is a bit heavy, and you will use it a lot if you need to stop for a long or a shorter period of time. So this thing is nice to have, mounted very neatly. And to the next part. I already told you about fork. As you may see, it's reversed one, and this fact forced manufacturer to use very highly situated front mudguard. Front mudguard, despite it being quite wide, not as good as the rear one, because it's situated on a significant distance from the front wheel, and a lot of mud can fly around. Of course, you can buy and install your own mudguard with a mounting on the fork's feet, but this one was supplied by default. Front panel. Front panel, mounted on a Velcro straps, is also made by the same company and can be bought separately. It is consist of quite a powerful front beam, auxiliary LEDs on its side, and turn signals on the bus side. This panel can be connected to overall bike electronics with very good waterproof color-coded connectors. Here is an example. All the external parts of this bike are assembled on these connectors. It may contain 3 or 5 pins or 6, and as I already said, it's color-coded, which is also very convenient. Brake handles. Both of them are equipped with braking sensor, so if you push the brake, engine will stop work and will prevent you from a disastrous falling. On the front panel you also can find a dashboard. I will turn it on a little bit later on, and all the buttons are powerful front light, beeper, turn signals. Close to only thing I don't like in this bike, it's the signal. It's very powerful, and well, it's okay when you need it to be loud, but it's screaming a lot in all the circumstances, even if you don't want to have that way. For example, when you turn the bike on or off. Also, on the right handle we have a motorcycle style accelerator shifter, and probably that's it. Now I will try to turn this bike on. It is supplied with two remote controllers like that. They are wireless, and with this controller you can turn the bike on, turn it off, or set to alarm. Sensor in this horn will detect if someone will move this bike or just shake it, and it also will scream a lot. Okay, time to turn it on. Here we can see speedometer, odometer, brake sensor, voltage sensor, battery indicator, turn signals. That's how it works. And that's it. Here, the front side, you can see the beam. It was turned on, now it's turned off. Also very easy to use. I saw some complaints about mount, how this dashboard is mounted to handlebar. There could be just plastic straps, but instead there are two strong aluminum hooks. You easily can hook on the weight for about, I don't know, 10 or 20 kilos here, but instead it's been used just for this little panel. But to my mind, stronger mounts, two strong mounts are better than two weak ones, so it's not a big deal. Okay, here is one more shot of this bike overall, how it looks like from the different angles. And I think that's it. I hope that I will be able to show this bike in action, but unfortunately not in the meantime. So for the action footage you can address yourself to East Jam YouTube channel. There are several cuts where this bike shown on a street. So thanks for watching, and see you the next time.